What's going on, everyone? This is Jordan with Conquer Trading and Investing. We're getting ready right now for our live session. If you're just joining us now, live, how's it going? Glad you're here. If you're joining the replay right now, welcome. We're going to get started right now. It looks like we have an exciting day ahead of us, so I'm going to jump right into it. By the way, we're looking at Tesla. Tesla's up about 10% in the pre-market. Look at this. This is an example of what looks to be like a parabolic blow off top. Let's keep watching it day to day and see when and how it continues to play out. But this looks like every day growing to be more and more of a possible shorting opportunity. The question is, when do you short it, right? I wish I remember the name of that marijuana stock that went through a similar pattern. If anyone knows the name of it, I was not following them at all, but I do remember. I believe the CEO was on CNBC, and he was asked why he was selling, and he just laughed. The price, I think, has gone from 300 and is now trading, I don't know, somewhere around $15 or so. But if anyone, Tillery, TLRY, I believe it is. And here you go. There's that parabolic top. So is this what's going on with Tesla right now? Look at this. This is when he was on CNBC. He laughed when asked why he was selling. Price has come all the way down now and is trading at, sorry about that. Blair, the Prince, how's it going? Good morning, good afternoon. I think we have an exciting session going on. Let's look at the DXY. We'll start off with is just trading up at resistance again right here. This is a great opportunity whenever we lean into resistance like this. I noticed here on the Euro US dollar, that means we're right at support. This might be setting up a buy entry within the next 24 hours, anytime within the next 24 hours, as long as this support holds down here. We start making higher highs. At that point, I do like looking over at the Euro US dollar. This is going towards the top of my list right now. I'm watching it. I'm going to see what develops in this session. But I think that we have a set of waves coming in. And right now, this is on the list. Gold is interesting. I'm going to be blowing through this, it looks like right now, but we'll take it as it comes. Gold looks interesting because while we're below this trend line right here, if we are able to go ahead and start making any lower lows, well, then I'm interested. I would like to see, ideally, even a little bit more of a retest of this broken trend line. It's a light trend line. You can see how light I have it on the chart, but it's there as a guide. And you can see over here when it broke, here's the retest. It's a beautiful example of a retest. And then we went back down lower. If something like that develops again, I'm interested in watching it, but I'm going to green lighter. We've been looking at someone brought to our attention the pound Australian dollar with this head and shoulders pattern developing. And I did an update on this in the sent to the Telegram overnight, posted on TradingView. Continuing to watch and develop. I'm missing a resistance line right here, which I have right over there. If we lean into that resistance and then resume off it, I like taking a preemptive trade over there because the risk to reward going into the neckline is good. And then we could lock it in, see what happens. Alternatively, if we break below, we know how to play it. But I'm just going to continue watching that trade. Looks good. Zuva, welcome. Hey, listen, guy, I sorry for my pronunciations, phonics. It's difficult for me to sound out words. Glad you're here. Welcome. Thanks for joining us. We have a lot going on, it seems, this morning. So I'm kind of getting a look at the charts. I can see over here. I'm doing everything also on the 8-hour, and it's because there seems to be a lot of setups. We see here on the Euro Japanese yen, price came into this resistance over here up ahead and has since peeled off. See, I prefer buying off of support when things are in an uptrend. The euro Japanese yen is still remains to be in an uptrend. And that means to me, the closer we get to this trend line or this trend line support down over here is an opportunity to lean in. I'm looking for any other signs of support. And I suppose we have something around over here. So the closer we get to this trend line over here, something better would develop. Right now, there's not too much of a clarity or edge, although we're just peeling off of that resistance a little bit. Australian dollar, Canadian dollar seems to be still within no man's land. We have resistance over here and support over here. We're between them, no edge at all. And so we just stay away. I'm gonna just put that to neutral, cleaning up all these pairs right here. US dollar, Canadian dollar, still below this resistance over here. This looks like a good place, definitely to lean short. I'm still holding my short. If you could get any type of lower lows right now, and assuming we hold here on the DXY, going back to the DXY, I think we're going to hold here until we break. If we break through, again, the first thing I'll be looking for is to see what happens over here at this resistance. All right. I'll expect it that it's going to hold after pushing through here. And then from there, we're going to watch what happens. We'll wait and we'll do this analysis if and when that happens. Right now, we're looking for this to hold over here and to come and for price to peel back off. Again, if that happens, that will mean also an opportunity here on the euro US dollar. And before I go further, I want to see what that means on the Australian dollar US dollar. This is still holding up really well. This is still holding up really well. And I like this a lot. This could even be an entry here during New York. If we make a higher high during London, I think that I would like to take this trade. If not, I'm definitely going to be watching this overnight and see what develops here. But I like the fact that it looks like we're putting in. Let me put up the entry CCI here. I'm just looking for the last impulse of the entry CCI, which was down here, and now over here we put another one in, making these higher lows. So the structure here looks pretty good. I would like to see a shoot above this resistance over here. Daniel, let's be right. What's going on? Again, this is looking like there's a lot going on in the markets right now. We're at a pretty important inflection point because the dollar could lose this channel right here, breaking out to the upside. Again, this would not be unexpected if it were to happen. Actually, in the last weeks, not this past week, the week before, it's weekly Forex forecast. When price was down here, I did mention I wouldn't be surprised for this to happen. Whether or not it's going to happen right now, not I don't. Right now, I'm assuming the resistance is going to hold until it doesn't. If it doesn't hold, then we'll reevaluate how to get long dollar pairs. Right now, I'm looking to take trades if price gets me into them, shorting the dollar, right? Whether that's here on the euro US dollar, price has to get me into the trade. Australian dollar US dollar, this looks like it could lead the way. And then US dollar, Canadian dollar, all versus the dollar pairs. All right. Again, it's the most important thing to do. Buy off support, sell off resistance. And in the moment that it's taking place, it's seemingly the hardest. This is when most traders are leading the other way. We'll see. We could get the breakout here. I wouldn't be surprised if it happens. But again, I have to be proven wrong. US dollar, Japanese yen, this continues to look pretty bullish over here. Ever since the breakout, it looks like now we're holding this trend line and back into this rising wedge pattern. So we'll see. Again, everyone knows since yesterday, waiting for what happens tomorrow after the signing of the China-US phase 1 trade deal to see how the market reacts. Right now, I think going into that, I would not want to get long the yen. Australian dollar, Japanese yen. This looks also positive here. We've come up. Look at this. This is 8 hour, but we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 8 green bars in a row. This is going on right now 3 days of just upness. And now we're getting to an area where we continue to rise upwards if we get above this resistance here. So maybe, possibly, possibly we could take a look around this 76.40 area by tomorrow this time. It's possible. Would I take a trade here if we made higher highs? I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I'm going to come back and look at it. Nick, good morning. Good afternoon. How's it going? Euro US dollar, boom, boom, boom. Looks like the Australian dollar still is leading the way. We came back below this. I need to just move this up. I have this down at the wicks over here, but you could see it should be down at the bodies over there. And we came into it over there. That's a better look at it. So, I mean, this definitely has a short bias. Obviously, the trade would have been overnight into London, and aside from that, I don't see an edge on it. It would have been a good trade overnight. It wasn't on my radar. I didn't think anything was going on in the markets really yesterday. A lot going on today. Pound US dollar starting to get interesting. Starting to get really interesting. Right now we're at look at this. Look at my mouse horizontal. This is the area of consolidation that went on for, what was it? I think 6 weeks. And price is sitting on it right now, holding up pretty well. Pound looks good to me. I know there's still a lot that they're working through there politically. It looks like a place where it's getting closer and closer, where it's possible to take a position on the pound. I don't think it's one of the top candidates. We have those set in purple right now. Nevertheless, keep watching the story develop. Euro New Zealand dollar. This is looking interesting towards the side of the euro, right? You could see this bottoming happening here, this series of lower highs as we come up into this resistance over here. You can see the pressure building to the upside. If we break out here to the upside, this is something that might be able to go. Mad Andreas, welcome. If we get above here, this is something that might be triggering tomorrow. If we get the seller news type event, it might be, I don't know. I'm gonna keep watching this, and I'm just gonna make a quick mental note for myself, so I know what it is I'm watching, and that's these lower highs being put in, and then this resistance. All right. I just want to be able to look at that and then know right away what that is. Actually, I don't need that resistance line in there. I know pretty well. All right, let's keep going. Canadian dollar, Japanese yen continues to look pretty strong. Look at this. Ever since the breakout of the last resistance, it came back down, held the support, and continues to look good. I don't see a trade on it. I see that we're in an area where there's nothing to lean into, and this does not look like one of the better candidates right now. But it could continue. I wouldn't be surprised if by tomorrow we're looking at testing the height of this range over here onto the upside. Pound Japanese yen. Again, this also, like the pound, continues to look really well, trading well above the breakout. We got a nice double test over here and continuing up. We're above this support over here. This continues to look really, really nice. I think better than the pound US dollar. And nothing yet where I want to get involved, but it continues to look better and better every day. Keep following it. New Zealand dollar, Japanese yen. An arrow. What's going on? I'm just we have to, we'll look at Bitcoin in a little bit. There's a lot going on today. I want to get a good feel for the market. I feel like we're going to get some good entries. Dollar index is testing or attempting a breakout right now of the range over here, and I just think as we're about 15 minutes to the U.S. equity opening, there's a lot of opportunities today, one way or the other. We're at a nice point where things are going to be developing. So want to give a big shout out to here. We got 26 people in here, and someone felt that they really felt like they needed to cast their vote and to give a nice thumbs down. Hey man, I appreciate you taking your time to be here with us. I appreciate you taking the liberty to do that. You're you know, so oh boy. That's awesome. How pathetic. So as we get down over to the Australian dollar, New Zealand dollar, it's the question of is this bottoming? I know if we extend this trend line over here, uh, there you go. We never came back down and touched it actually. This never came down and touched it. You can see it as the same slope as this over here though. And now we're back above this resistance. I'm looking and seeing, if we're putting in a bottom here, and what would we need to do to confirm that? I'm not exactly sure. It looks like there's the possibility that we're putting in a long-term bottom here on the Australian dollar, New Zealand dollar. I'm not really sure how to trade it because it's not within my within my norm. Nevertheless, I like watching these things and seeing how they develop. I think you have a pretty clear, this should be resistance. And yet another one we're coming up into right there. All right. We have Full House, Mima, Leonard, Ultra. What's going on, everyone? Panero, yeah, good, sharp, nice trading. Today was a beautiful day for your type of ability and your time frame, and I think the day is just going again. Because of how I trade and where I make my money. I'm looking right now as we lean into all these supports and resistances, obviously, to make sure they hold and confirm that by price then making, depending on higher highs or lower lows. And that looks like an opportunity if that does happen for me to get into these trades. Just looking ahead, for example, here on the Euro US dollar, we have support down here, right? It's pretty easy to see. If we step back, you can see the support down here. DXY, what happens if this doesn't hold? Again, I expect it hold. If it doesn't hold and we break out and test this resistance over here, that's going to mean the Euro US dollar is then trading down below this support over here. So I'm just kind of setting up in my mind possible scenarios for different trades setting up. But again, this looks good. It looks like we have a lot of purple here, and the wave is coming in, and it's a question of whether or not I could get on top of this wave and get involved. We're at a critical point in the day as we get closer to the U.S. equity opening. Right, New York is notorious for market turns, so we'll see if we get that continuation through the London session, or now as we're at these critical levels, we turn and clearly if you're a trader, you know that this type of information is just another reason to go ahead and stick another thumbs down right there, because I get it. But what else do I want to look at? We covered a lot in 20 minutes. Feeling very good. Now I want to get into watching what happens, the price action during the open here, but that's in about 10 minutes away. So we still got some time. If anyone is looking at a pair, Leonard, I believe you mentioned a few pairs you're in. I'm going to look at those in a second. You see, the pound looks to me like it's getting ready to make a move to the upside. Ooh. The Australian dollar, US dollar looks really solid to me. In this move of the dollar overnight, the Australian dollar, US dollar has held up. Boom, 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 boom. The Australian dollar, US dollar has held up very well, and that's one of my top candidates going in right now. So yeah, I mean, I want to step back a second here. The reason I want to take a moment and look at this is because I feel like I'm interested in the pound right now. All the pairs versus the pound seem to be in a really really nice area for looking at taking some pokes at it. And the question is which one. Let's look at them all really quick. So this is the pound US dollar, and I like the fact that we're holding up here above the resistance of the breakout, which is now support. You see it tucked under here, but held well below, above this one, and is now back into this area. It looks really good, but so does the pound Japanese yen, and this is again, here was the breakout, and prices touched that broken resistance at support 3 times and is still holding above here. So this looks really good. We're actually making a higher higher in the daily right now. So does that translate to that? This looks really good. And then also, I think this might look the best. Although the pound Japanese yen looks really good. I don't often look at this pair, the pound Swiss franc, so I just want to take a second here. I've known we've seen so much Swiss franc strength that the question is that move now overdone? And as you're leaning here, this pretty strong supply zone over here, leaning into it right now. I don't know. I'm definitely interested though across the board here. I don't know if it's the pound Japanese yen or pound Swiss franc here, but I'm gonna come back to those and see. I'm interested. Um, Rustin, I appreciate that. I do, and and it's not that it bothered me so much as the person that did it, jumping in here to do that. What's wrong with them? If there's a reason, please, put a thumbs down, do whatever you need to do, but just come in here as everything's getting started and for no reason to do that. I mean, dude, what are you doing with your life? Is the a lot of important questions, a lot we need to cover. So, will the dollar strengthen tomorrow on the trade deal? I have absolutely no idea. I have absolute no idea. The only thing that I know is I'm looking at the chart. I'm a technician. I always look at the charts. I read the market off the charts, and right now we're in this channel, which looks like a bull flag to me. So there's the possibility it could break out to the upside. But right now we're testing this resistance, and until it breaks, we're looking for it to hold. What does that mean? For me, that means that we start making lower lows off the resistance, and without getting on the daily time frame, if we get a close above it, right? If New York ends today and we're sitting up here, then that means we've closed outside of the channel, right? We could reevaluate that later in the afternoon if that happens. And then, but just so you all know, if that happens, the next level I'm looking for is for price to get held up into this resistance over here, right? If we break above that resistance, I look for the retest, and then we get really long dollar. Or if this resistance holds, we wait to see what happens here. Does that broken resistance hold the support? Do we resume upwards? We get long dollar. If we go back into the channel, we get short dollar. It's a great place to be because now things become very clear. As of right now, though, I'm looking for it that I'm just assuming that it's going to hold. I don't know how that the trade deal is going to affect that one way or the other. Just watching the charts, and I'll trade off the charts. If we start making higher highs off supports over here, it's an opportunity to get long across the board. Australian dollar looks pretty good, right? You have the resistance right over here, but look, the dollar is gaining versus everything, but the Australian dollar is unchanged on the day, right? So that means it's strong. If there's a turn on the dollar into dollar weakness, I think the Australian dollar has a good chance leading the way overnight. Well, I'm interested in it at least. Blair, that's awesome. +1. There's so guys, thank you for all the comments. There's so much to catch up on. For sure, I'm going to catch up to all of them because there are times when we have that time within the session. Maria, don't worry about it. I see Bitcoin has taken off a little bit. Why I say don't worry about it? All right, I mean that's good. So this is just one of a million setups that are going to occur in the market and on Bitcoin. There's going to be plenty of other opportunity to get in. Don't worry about it. Good, to be able to see the setup. And if you didn't get to participate, don't worry. There's going to be plenty of other. And listen, Bitcoin is really, really cheap, long-term view. So I just want to bring this up. Not to look at it, but just to remind you, we're just over here. We're somewhere over here, right? Sorry about that. We're somewhere over here. All right. Don't worry about it. There's always the market's always going to be there. There's always opportunity. It's just a question of right now always of developing that skill that you have, which is being able to read and trade and manage your trades in the market and just keep fine tuning that. And then more and more you'll be able to take advantage of things as they happen. This is just one trade out of a million. Don't worry about it, Maria. You're going to get others. I want to take a look. Boom, boom, boom. Heath, at your pound US dollar. I'm not sure if Hanero is leaning towards the dollar out of all the. We looked at the pound US dollar, pound Japanese yen, pound Swiss franc. To me, they all look good. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they're about to roll over here. But we're at a point where the opportunity to step into them looks good. Heath, where was your entry? 76. 129.76. So, I mean, good that you're holding a pair that is now starting to look really well, and it's I'm just questioning what your entry was off of. Listen, we all have different time horizons. I just want to reinforce for everyone that what I do personally is I wait for price to confirm that it's coming in the direction of my trade in order to get in it, as opposed to, for example, buying as price is falling down, but as it falls down into the support, because you never know if it's going to stop falling or keep going. And it's just one more edge that I could put on is price resuming towards the direction of my trend upon my entry. Real simple, defined by the time frame I'm trading it on. All right. Let's be right. We haven't looked yet at the pound New Zealand dollar. Let's do that. So I need to start here on the daily. Just take a quick. We have the U.S. equity marketing opening right now, just to see if the dollar is coming off on the opening. I'm just trying to look for my DXY. Yeah, it's coming down a little bit. I'm gonna watch. Obviously, the first 45 minutes trading is pretty important. This is the pound New Zealand dollar. This also, I mean, across the board, I like the pound here. I'm trying to look for something clear, and it's not clear to me. But I see right now where my mouse is horizontally. I see the resistance here, and then when it was broken, that touches support over here, and price seems to be right around it right now. So it seems like it's a good level. Um, you know, it seems like a good level. It's hard for me to get a good read on it. I'm more inclined for the pound Japanese yen, pound Swiss franc, but definitely I'd be leaning, I think, here to again to the long side on the pound. Um, where my mouse is right now, I also have a support level, and you can see price right there held it, and now it's going on to make what appears to be possibly, if on the daily we make higher highs, another lower high. So this looks good to me to the upside. I like the pound almost everywhere, it seems. Leonard, you were looking at the euro, British pound. We haven't even looked in that pair yet today, so I want to step in and look at it. Um, so this is difficult for me to read. I see price is kind of caught back into this area over here between this resistance and this now support, and I don't like it there. It's difficult for me to get any type of read. If we trade below this support over here, I would be happy about trading the short side here in the direction of the pound. Um, and I think we have to get above this resistance here for me to be looking at the euro. This is kind of no man's land for me right now. That's just myself. If I can't get a further read on it. All right, Leonard, two more trades I want to take a look at, and then I'm going to get back to anything new. Pound Australian dollar. So you took a long off this. So hold on. All right. Um, so I did an update on this through the telegrams on TradingView if anyone wants to take a look at it. The only way that I would play this is we're in no man's land now for me. If you took that long off support, I mean, I personally, and this is just personally, I don't buy as price touches the resistance or support. I wait for that confirmation of price taking me into that trade. Um, Price has not yet made a higher high on the 8 hour, which would give any indication for me that I have the a look at even buying it. I wouldn't buy here. This is very counter trend trade. We're in price is falling, and we're now approaching the neckline. So for me, it's where can I get short? If we break down below the neckline and then get a retest, and the broken support holds as resistance, price resumes into the trade. I could get short here, or if price is able to take another look at this resistance up here and then resume downwards, I could get in here because my risk is capped, and then I have a free trade going into the neckline if price takes me into there. The other thing you were looking at was the euro Japanese yen, and I want to look at that only because good trade here. You get short there, but it's just kind of trend. So good trade, right? I mean, you took it off the resistance, and I see a pattern there on both those two trades. Is that you're taking things against the trend when they hit into the resistance or support. So not bad at all. Being that at least you're selling off the resistance and support. It's just what I personally do, and I'm not saying that you should do it because I do it, but what works for me is in the uptrend buying off supports, in the downtrends selling off resistance. And what you're doing is in an uptrend selling off resistance, and that's kind of trend. It could work. And adversely, in a downtrend, you're buying off supports. I was thinking about that yesterday while I was going for a walk, and I noticed that a lot of traders do that, And I actually just taking a moment here to point out what is going on, only because I view it differently. And again, I'm not saying you can't make a living here doing this. I just want you to be aware of it. I think it's really important. Self-awareness is I think there's something psychologically going on there, where and I think that is almost like picking bottoms and tops. I think something, if you feel like that's hitting a tune with you, when I say you, I mean everyone. If you find yourself that you are inclined to be selling tops and buying bottoms, just look at, something really simple is in an uptrend, buy supports. In a downtrend, sell resistances. All right. Good trade here though. Again, that's it. You got wrecked. Nice comment there on the options. That could be a turning point in the markets. It's not as if I'm just looking for a turning point because I want the markets to turn. But they're at this important inflection point. So I'm aware that it's possible two things could happen: that they do turn here, or that we get a breakout. But we're at that point where one of those two things is going to happen. So just watching it. Mad, good question. Do I trade systematically or by eye? And it's a combination of the both. It's a combination of them both. Uh, so I guess it's I haven't defined that, so it's hard to define. So I guess it's discretionary, meaning that what's discretionary? What I do here with you in looking over the charts, getting a read on the market and looking for the most opportune setups, right? That part is discretionary. And then what my everything else is pretty systematic. Wow, a few things. You got wrecked. I noticed last night that Litecoin was leading the way, and I was interested kind of figuring out why. So Litecoin does tend to lead the market into bull markets. I was also wondering is because Litecoin is looking to put in some privacy features, and I wonder if it had to do with that. Anything, Litecoin is just a fork of Bitcoin. It's a copy of the code and just changed a little bit. Anything that's done on Litecoin could then be done on Bitcoin. So it's like a test net. So if they're able to put any privacy features into Litecoin, then there's a good chance that that will get adopted by Bitcoin. Heath, if you have a chart of that, I'm interested in looking at that. Please, if you're using TradingView, go ahead and please take a snapshot and send it through a private message. Just go ahead and click the window. Anyone can do this. Click the window, click this bubble right here, and then just type my name and send me the link. You get the link right here. Just click that camera, and it takes a picture of your chart. Please send me that chart. I would love to take a look. You're looking at the rising trend line and vertical support. Anyway, I would like to see it because I think it could be helpful. And because I'm also interested in the pound here. 30123. Hanera, I'm gonna just drop down here. What chart do you trade off of mostly, Hanera? What time frame, by the way? Nice. Good luck there on that level that you have. That's a nice resistance. Putting that in the chart definitely help if getting into any trades here. That for me would be an area the first area that this would be the area that I would look for to see about what I'm doing with my trade, how price reacts around it. I don't know if I'm going to take the pound US dollar, um, but I want to keep that level in there. Nice level. MHB, what's going on? Glad you're able to join us here for the live stream. Just a couple of quick things. Again, thanks to all you guys for showing your appreciation for what we do here. 40 minutes into the session, I would say it's a great session. We got a lot going on, a lot covered. Yesterday was a slow day, and we traded it appropriately. If you haven't yet joined the free Telegram group, go ahead and do that. Again, later in the sessions, if there's any trade setups that are developing or updates, I go ahead and post a 1 to 3 minute video on TradingView and then alert everyone through there. And that's it. All right. There was something I wanted to look at. I don't even know what it was. Let's take a look at the market, see what's happening and developing. So a brief sign that perhaps the support is holding over here, the resistance is holding here, support on the other pairs. Is the Australian dollar peaking up over there, guys? I want to take a look here, just placing some orders on the Australian dollar, US dollar, and if we take out London's high, I'm interested in taking a poke at it. So I'm just going to pause here for a couple of minutes. Bear with me. All right, I'm back with you. So it looks like that chart came through. All right, beautiful trend line you have over there. And I see that you had the two things happening. Good trade here. Look, good trade. What time frame are you trading off of? This is the daily. Heath, are you trading off the daily though? Or do you use a lower time frame? Here's what I like about this. I like these two lines, this trend line here, and then this line over here. All right, this is everything else on the chart. I'm just kind of removing and focusing in on these two trend lines right here. And you can see here this beautiful slope right here. This trend line belongs here, and it's completely relevant on a small time frame, right? And then also here, this nice resistance broke through here, but came in and held that. Beautiful, beautiful chart. Came back up here, and then now is holding the conflux of two supports. So this is a good trade. Price makes higher highs here. I really like it. So if I was trading this on a small time frame, what I would have done the analysis he did here, right, on the daily, good, and then I would go down and I would again, if I was trading the 30-minute, I'd be looking for a price to touch down into that level and then resume upwards. Nice trade entry here, though. Your risk is really well defined, and good job. There you go, 15-minute. Good job. All right. Just taking a quick look here. Australian dollar, Japanese yen. So far, again, so this is one of the cases, and it's really important just to kind of point out. Most of the time, we go through oscillating between overbought, oversold, and then as you all know, then sometimes overbought can remain overbought for a really long time, and those are when you get some powerful big moves. Same thing with oversold. Here's an example of oversold, and then the market's volatile right now. Now you get that overbought. Um, Again, I'm not taking the trade because I hear my voice hesitating, but I would not be surprised if we're taking a look at about 40 pips higher, sometime in the next 24 hours. All right. What else are we looking at, traders? Anyone has got their eye on anything, please let me know. We were looking yesterday to see if crude would bottom out around here. It looks like there's signs of that possibly happening. Let's take a look at gold. I took a trade on gold and got stopped out of it. I took a trade on gold and got stopped out of it. And now what are we looking at? Let me see the prints. Above 142. Ugh. There you go. Oh, I like the line in the sand, and there's a good place to lean in, right? I don't know what time frame are you even looking at? Hanera, did you send that through TradingView? Guys, I wonder if you could place links in the YouTube chat, but just putting a space between. Let me show you an example. I wonder if you could place links by putting taking a space between the HTTPS semicolon / and then the link like that, or putting www space and try and place links like that right there. I can't open it like that. I know. You got to take the picture and send the link. So we're looking here at the Japanese yen futures. All right. And we got a weekly chart. So this is more of the long-term view. As we're coming into, what is this line over here? The 200-day moving average, leaning into that. I'm more like this line over here. Could go either way. CME. I'm gonna try and pull that up in a little bit, Dan. Pull that up, and I want to take a look at it with you. If you could copy and paste that symbol into the chat, that'd be really helpful. Here's a look at the Nasdaq coming. Oh, let's look at this right now together. So what's Tesla doing on that? Tesla is off a lot. Tesla is down about, it was up about 9-10% this morning and is now coming up. Either which way, everyone knows my opinion on the indices, and it's really hard picking tops and bottoms. Over the past umpteen years, over the past, wow, 7 years, I know so many traders who've gotten wrecked selling puts and puts and puts and puts. And again, it's all about the central bank liquidity. So maybe this will be the top of the market, but I don't know. It's very difficult to tell. We got some momentum to the downside tomorrow. What's going to happen going into the trade deal? I don't know. It's a tough one for me. DJ, try and paste it. Someone try to paste something right now into the chat and paste it simply with putting a space between the www dot and the link itself. See if you could get by the system that way. Beyond Meat is holding its gains. Both those, Tesla and Beyond Meat, though, they look like they're getting to a, yep. I mean, it's hard to step in front of things that are going like that, but man, today in the pre-market was the opportunity. Maybe, I think so. But look at that. Look at the top of Beyond Meat, right into that. Look into the resistance there. Yeah, is gold trading up now? I got stopped out on gold personally, and gold is, I think it's the Prince looking at 142 to be the support of gold. Gold consolidating up off it. So we have the dollar continuing to come off, which we were looking for to happen, right? And gold is a little bit of work to do though right here. And I think you need to clear above this little line around, I guess call it at 1551, so about $5 higher in order before you might get some momentum, 153, 152 in that area before you get some clarity to the upside. But anyone leaning in off of here and has their stop, below this area over here, I think you have a pretty good opportunity. And I think you have a pretty good opportunity, and that could work out. Is the pound taking off? Little. I think we got the euro leading the way so far this session. The US dollar, the Australian dollar, nope, lagging. It's really the euro story. Canadian dollar lagging. I think New York session, we got the story is the euro. I'm going to look at the Swiss franc, Japanese yen. So yeah, I agree here where the direction on this trade is to the buy side. You are also dealing with something ever since this breakout that is something that's overbought, and overbought can remain overbought. If you are taking a buy up here, I think you got to be very short time frame minded. And there you go. And if you were taking an example on the 30-minute here, resuming upwards, that, and you could see right there, you could draw that in right there. You have that little bit of support to lean off of. That's a good trade. But I think you gotta, if you're short time frame minded, I think also your take profits also got to be short time frame minded. And I think over here is the take profit if you get another test over there on that trade. I don't know. Yeah, you got it right there. You got wrecked. How do I get these things off? Public chats. I'll look at that later. You, you can't stand in front of them, right? Whether it's Tesla or Beyond Meat, even though it's so tempting to short up at these levels, it's gambling, and you can make a lot of money. So hey, there's some day traders that could do that all day long. I would say at about 100 people, there would be 3 that could do it, and Beyond Me too, right? I mean, when there's so much short interest in a stock, it gets dangerous because you get these short squeezes, and these are beautiful examples. This is a beautiful example of a short squeeze. And another thing too, you got Rack to add to your good point there, is that he could be right, but it's the timing that matters. That in trading and investing, timing is everything. You could be right and still get wrecked. All right. DXY is, let's see, on the 8-hour here, looking a little bit better. That's a pretty nice big candle. We're about a half hour now into the US equities, and things are looking all right. Things are looking pretty good. Um, nice. There you go. Just catching up there too, and that's the thing also. Like, you got to wait for that sign to that reversal, and then you could get in. I was looking for TradingView to see like an indicator that shows like a parabolic move, for example, on Bitcoin. That's a monthly chart. I want to look at a monthly chart. I want to look at. I want to show you this. Maybe someone knows the indicator that would do that. I'm looking. For an indicator that would show like a slope down here of a parabolic move. that goes up, and then when that breaks to the downside, that's an indication that you need to get out of the trade. Let me see if I could find a better example for you. Just give me 1 second. I know exactly what I'm looking for here. There you go. So I don't know if this is drawn in by hand or if there's an indicator that draws a parabolic move like this. I'd be very interested if anyone knows. I think it's a pretty wise point about a couple of things. First of all, maturity of waiting. Right. I think tomorrow is a big day. I think tomorrow is going to be a trigger day for the yen. Someone was looking at the yen futures. And I think that's a good point. It's really it's a bit risky buying up into this point right now. Shorting it's just as risky, in my opinion. But if you took the trade off of here, right? I suppose you were very short-term frame minded, and I'm also interested in what your exit is. I looked at that this morning, but it gave like good look. So I know this is the weekly instead of the daily, but maybe I'm going to take a closer look at that and try to pull up the daily over here and look at this area over here and see what the parabolic SAR does over there. Yeah, Trump removing China from the currency manipulator list. Pretty funny that the US used that as a way for manipulation, right? As a negotiating tool, calling other people manipulators and forcing them into negotiating positions. Pierre, thank you. I'm not gonna. I'm gonna look for that in my own time, and I'm not gonna take your guys' time right now to find that out. But Pierre, good luck. I'm gonna make a note of that right now. and take a look at that. Thank you. Yeah. So, going into the end of the 2019, I think we were also looking at, as we watched the breakout on the Australian dollar, we watched the Canadian dollar hold resistance and the big Japanese yen weakness. This is kind of like around the area where the US and China, we're talking about the phase one deal. And since we've seen yen weakness, appreciation in commodity currencies, the question is how much longer is that going to continue? And that's the $1 million question. And if you had that answer, you'd be doing really well. We can only watch the charts, and I'm curious. Taking a step back here right now as we look at this resistance over here, what's going to happen, right? I think tomorrow is a big day, and I think it's a big day because there's the possibility that we see a big turn in the markets after the signing of the deal. Let's take a look at the euro versus the Swiss franc. So this is just an enormously strong and consistent downtrend. You could see here visually, if you were to draw a trend line over here, though, that you're towards the bottom of that, right? So there might be an area to look to take profits, especially as you spike down over here right now. I wouldn't be looking to take a short. I think the next time you would look to take a short on this pair, if you're not involved in it, is, the closer you come up towards this trend line over here, because you have something to lean against. And then if you break above it, maybe that you're seeing the trend change. But this today, right now, this looks like you're seeing, this is a move to take profits on. I'm picturing this as if I was trading stocks off of the 5 or 15-minute time frame. And this type of momentum is usually the last bit of a bottoming. So that's what I'd be watching out for, as you're also, you have this over here as well. And this was like the area to look for taking profits. I wouldn't buy it. I wouldn't buy it. It's super counter trend. Do you have any other type of support down there? Nothing that I could see. So maybe you could see this resistance over here and that support line over there. Let's draw a trend line. But before let me look at that on the 3-day. Yeah, I think you're a little bit below it. So that's the best look and help I could give on the euro, Swiss franc. Get above there. Why are you below it? It's pretty bearish. So looks like everything so far is going according to plan. Still a lot of work to do here in order for price to hold this resistance. Not out of the woods yet. Do have some spikes up here. Again, anytime you get into that support and resistance, that's the tough time. And you just gotta change your mindset that until support breaks, you expect it's going to hold, and until resistance breaks, you expect it's going to hold. Always waiting for price to confirm either way. MHB, we do this every day, Monday through Friday, 9 o'clock a.m. Eastern time. And Usually the average session is about 3 hours. And yeah, we're here every day. And I think it's going on 2 months now, or maybe even a little bit longer. And we'll continue doing it. I like it. Really enjoy it. We've got a great bunch of people in here. And I think we seem to attract like-minded people that have a good outlook, looking to improve themselves, very supportive people. The analysis is really beneficial to myself. And so I'm all about it. And yeah, anytime you can join us, please do. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, just go ahead and take a second and subscribe to the channel, and then you'll be updated and alerted. Hanero, what are you looking at? Descending triangle forming on the DXY. Boom, 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 boom. Descending triangle. So what time frame are you looking at, though, by the way? I just want to look at the same time frame as you. And just let me check the 30-minute. Let's see if you're over there. Let me draw this in really light. I think this is a good level to know for any type of confirmation that we are getting out of this troubled spot, you could call it. MHB, I appreciate that. I appreciate that very much. Renero, go ahead and send me a message through Twitter. All right, so we are about 45 minutes since the New York Open. Things are settling in, and Euro so far respecting this support line over here this morning, as the DXY is respecting this trend line over here. Let's see if that holds through the London close, and what type of setups continue to develop. I think this evening, this afternoon, look for quite a few updates coming through the Telegram, or if you're just following directly on TradingView, I'll be doing, it looks like, quite a few updates. And tomorrow, again, we're always talking about being aware of what's going on ahead of us. Tomorrow is a big deal as far as the US and China trade deal being signed. I'm not sure what time that is. I have to find that out. And I think that's a pretty big deal as far as being aware of what's going on around us. If anyone knows what time that's expected, please let us know. It's anytime you're at important support or resistance, it's rare that you look, or I don't know, this was during the holidays or something. This was during the holidays, but there's always a lot of work to do, right? It's never so easy. Look at this. Talk about work. Look at that spike up, but it you can see the daily didn't. That's over here. You see the daily didn't close. That's why you look at the daily on support and resistance and trend lines to make sure that you get that confirmation. So that's all we're at right now. We're putting the work in, and it's never so easy, or rarely so easy. This was an easy one. Boom, boom. Here we are, and it could go either way. We don't know what's going to happen. That's the best attitude to have. I don't know what's going to happen. I have no idea what's going to happen. I'm only going to trade what's in front of me. And that really means sticking to the time frame you trade on. Don't go whatever time frame you trade on. You could go to the higher time frames to get perspective, add your support, resistance, your trend lines in, your chart patterns, but you trade off of the whatever time frame you trade off of. All right, you can't go back and forth. You're going to get really conflicting signals, and you're going to get whipsawed around. Yeah, there's a good chance of that happening. There's a great chance that the U.S. dollar strengthens the China-U.S. trade deal strengthens the U.S. dollar, and if that happens, we're going to see a breakout of this bull flag. Right? We're going to know if it happens. Yeah, we want to look at the pound Japanese yen. I'm interested in the pound Japanese yen. I'm definitely interested here. I think that if I were to get into this trade, though, again, just in general, I am looking for a yen reversal tomorrow. I don't know that that's going to happen, but I'm aware that there's the possibility we see a big turn in the markets tomorrow. It would not be unrealistic to have a sell the news type event tomorrow. Going into it, I don't expect that, right? So Leonard, I truly believe and we're very confident if Trump is reelected, he will then show the world what is going on with China. He will then be very, 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 very tough with China. And, you know, if you're an American, I think rightfully so, right? So, meaning like China has stolen a lot of intellectual property from U.S. companies, and you know, for example, Huawei, they stolen not only exact equipment from Cisco. There's a lawsuit against them. They use the exact same manual word for word. The amount of theft that has taken place across the board is pretty horrific, and you know, that's not to say that China does not have their own view of things and are doing things what they believe to be right. But I think the president, Trump, will come down extraordinarily hard and tough on China if he's reelected. And all that he's trying to do right now is try to uh, have like a type of environment where he can get reelected, which means having a truce with China, keeping the markets up and the status quo going so that he could get reelected. And then once he does, I think that we could possibly see the top in equity markets and a big turning in markets in general. Yep, and they are totally. I not only that, I think what the West has done in general is listen. The U.S. has on the world stage has done things that are entirely corrupt, as is the whole central banking system, right? And I'm not saying China is wrong. I'm saying from the perspective of the U.S., I think that if they continue allowing things to go as they are, that they're going to lose their world supremacy. That China will overtake them. So I think that they're going to do whatever they can to prevent that from happening. For sure, there's no right or wrong, and they're both wrong. I think that you made an interesting point here about the pound. So just for a little bit of context, I've been neutral this whole time in this area over here about the pound. It's only this week where I'm starting to say, hey, the pound is looking good as far as offering possible opportunity, and I do like it overall. Again, we talked about timing is everything. Yeah, I think over the long term, the pound is going to appreciate greatly, and long term, this is probably a great time to buy the pound. But I don't know how that's going to work out in the intermediate or near term, right? So, and that's where I trade. I'm trading on the swing time frame, and I think that this might be an opportunity to get long the pound. But for how long, I don't know. And you got some nice resistance right up here. If you could get a look at that. I'm watching the pound Japanese yen also. I'm not going to take a trade on it though. And the pound Swiss franc. I think if I were to take a trade right now, I'm not doing it. Would be the pound Japanese yen. If we made higher highs here and held this, see right now we're trying to break out above this level. Price is not held above it yet. You can see these wicks over here. If prices go on to make higher highs going into tomorrow's signing, I like the momentum there, and well, that continues to be a possible trade to look at. The pound Swiss franc, I also wanted to just take another quick look at. As this looking like this might be an opportunity for a possible buy. Again, that means for me higher highs. But I don't like it actually. Hanero, China's debt, I think though, is a huge problem and something that is not really talked about. Just do a little bit, take a look at their debt, and they're very fragile. I'm curious. Remember Japan in the 80s? If you remember, Japan was the rising world economic power. They were buying up all of the resources and real estate in the U.S. and the U.S. was able to put down that threat. China's in a very similar situation today. Only China's debt is a huge, huge, huge problem, and we'll see. I long term here, I'm coming to the point where I might think about taking some long term uh, yen positions. Um, so I'm not saying that China doesn't have a chance here. They do. They're a big threat to the U.S. But I think again, this next year or two is really important. If Trump doesn't get reelected, there's my bets on China. They're going to be they're going to be given basically the path. If Trump is reelected, I think China might have some difficult time ahead. Yep, I agree with that 100%. Also, the U.S. is now $23 trillion into debt, and they're now the interest alone is adding another $1 trillion a year. This is why we like gold. This is why we like Bitcoin. Yeah. So, what would you say is so? China is looking to tokenize the yuan, which I think is a brilliant idea, and I think that's really going to help further yuan adoption. They're all about it. Look at this. This looks kind of cool. We're going to get into this in a second. And and Russia also is hugely supportive of cryptocurrency and the blockchain. And both those countries, as we all know, month over month have been buying for years an enormous amount of gold. Right? They are playing for the future. So on this is the pound New Zealand dollar, and I just want to make this line a little bit bigger because it was respected up in here. So what I like here is if the pound, and the pound is making moves versus all currencies right now. Everyone can see that. All right. Hold on one second, please. I'm sorry, I'll be back in 1 second. All right. Pound New Zealand dollar definitely is on the move here, right? It's got a lot of momentum here, popping up to the upside. You could see over here, look at this, just draw this in really quick. You can see that resistance broke up, tested a support, came into this resistance, back into the support and held, right? So right now, of course, the trade is to the upside, but I'm interested in what happens as we get back into this resistance over here. Uh, we still are overall definitely in what looks like a topping position over here. But if you step back from over here, so it goes both ways, right? The bulls and the bears could both make a case. Since here, we're definitely really bullish. So it looks like there's a strong chance that this current move will at least resume back up until we get into that trend line. Um, I guess personally, I'd be more interested in what happens around this trend line over here. Also, if you're involved in this pair, and there's a lot going on here, if you're involved in this pair, I would be cautious tomorrow that if we do get, so you could either have a big risk on or risk off day tomorrow with the signing of the train deal. Going into it, it looks like we're going to have risk on, and I'm just curious whether or not that becomes risk off. There's a lot going on here, though. Good pair to be looking at and focused in on. Yeah, definitely, Hanera. I'll help you out with that. I'll definitely get on that. Probably next week. Um, yeah, I mean, again, timing is everything. We talked about it earlier. I guess that's a theme for today. And do I think gold is going to see 1800, 2000, or probably 24, and maybe even way much higher? Yes. Do I know when that's going to happen? No. The timing is difficult to play on that, and timing is everything. And if you're again, everyone should hold physical gold, and everyone should decide what portion of their portfolio that is. Just think, I wonder how many people today jumped in to further shorts in Beyond Meat and Tesla. And I wonder if they're gonna get ripped in the face. Or is this the turning point? I don't know. Not something that I'm trading or will trade, but the reason I keep watching this is because if this does keep getting higher and people keep getting wrecked, it just gets more and more um, as a possible place to take a speculative position. I'm going to keep watching it. I'm not getting involved yet. All right, I want to take a quick check-in now. What's going on? We're an hour since the U.S. Open. I want to see uh, dollar index is still holding up on the day. All right, since New York, where we were all the way up at the top towards the resistance, just New York, things are turning around a little bit. Euro's kind of leading the way on that, and the euro is still rebounded pretty nicely off the support, and we'll see what continues to develop. Australian dollar, which was stronger going in to New York, is kind of peeled back right now. Canadian dollar is starting to put up a little bit fight now. You start making lower lows here on the 8-hour. If anyone didn't get in, that looks like a good opportunity to get in. All right, so we're going strong for an hour and a half now. And it's been a good session, guys. If anyone's looking at anything right now, great. I'm totally opening up the table here. Would love to take a look at it. Aside from that, I just need a 5-minute break here, as we've been going pretty hot and strong, and just kind of just get comment to it a bit with you guys. So that's it. I'm with you. I'm taking just a few minute break, kind of just for a moment, maybe have a sip of tea here. But guys, good session. I appreciate you all. If anyone's got anything they would like to talk about, discuss, it's open to everyone. Difficult getting in front of all the central bank liquidity being pumped into the markets. I have to stress that over and over. And again, if the markets start coming off, the indices will come off hard and fast, and that there'll be no doubt about it. We'll be talking about it, and that will be the time to get short. Otherwise, there's really no business trying to pick a top. an era, you know, as you definitely know, if I don't know something well enough to be able to give my opinion with any type of what I believe to be authority, I won't do it, and I can't. I don't know. I think that I basically think to what I basically again, if you haven't seen or read The Creature from Jekyll Island, that is really should be that should be taught in school. There's no way it ever would be, but you should know and understand the central banking system, how it came into power, who's behind it, and I think I don't think that I think that the president of the United States' power is extremely and extraordinary limited. Believe that there are the powers that be behind the curtain, those that control the money supply, and they control the agenda. Uh, do I think that perhaps Donald Trump has, as we just talked about earlier, Vice President Biden was kind of doing the bidding of the Chinese, and Obama kind of was handing them the golden ticket. Does it appear that Trump is putting up a fight to all of that? Yes. Is he owned by that? I have no idea. I'm not saying that he's, but regardless of that, I don't really believe that, I remember during 2008, during the financial crisis, this was between President George Bush Jr. And President Obama switching office, and the bank bailout was passed, and George Bush had granted a 350, I think it was $350 billion bailout to the bankers. President Obama was elected. He came to meet President Bush in the White House, and they left the meeting. And President Bush said, President-elect Obama has requested that we give the next half of the bailout to the bankers, another $350 billion. So I'm going to, respect his request and go ahead and do that. It was clear as day that they both worked together. This was a Republican and a Democrat, and they both worked for the powers that be, those that control the monetary system, the bankers. And again, The Creature from Jekyll Island, if you're not familiar with it, amazing. Yep, Hanero. So far, that was his biggest mistake of his whole presidency. Um, he was told. So right or wrong, I believe he was completely tricked, and it's his fault. He's the president. I think that in retrospect, he knows that was a mistake, and he got played 100%, or maybe he didn't get played. Maybe he willingly did it, knowing what it was and what he was doing. Either way, he's responsible for it. U.S. dollar, Canadian dollar, we're looking another 100 pips up. Oh, boom. So this is a great area. Again, I hope we get into this area. Right? So we have this resistance area over here. Look at this horizontal resistance. Pretty strong resistance right there. And then you have this trend line resistance. So any type of price retrace into this area becomes very attractive, as well as sloping down over here. I'm short right now. The US dollar, Canadian dollar is my only trade that's open. And I guess that's pretty much dependent. If we get up to here on the US dollar, Canadian dollar, that means a couple of things have happened. That means the DXY has broken out of this trend line, this what looks like a bull flag over here, and we're trading into this resistance over here. All right, that's pretty clear. That's what happens. There is the chance that if we break out of here, we keep going. The U.S. dollar continues to strengthen, And if that's the case, there is the possibility that the US dollar, Canadian dollar, if it breaks out of this area over here, if this doesn't hold, I'll take a look at it if we get into there. But if we break out to the upside here and then clear this trend line, US dollar could be off to the races, even versus the Canadian dollar. And we could see the DXY again breaking out over here and testing 99.50. Um, you know, just aware of everything that could happen and what's going on. Leonard, good point. Leonard, have you seen on Real Vision the interview with Kyle? Hold on, let me just give you the link right now. Hold on. I highly recommend that video to everyone. Uh, Amazing. And um, if you really want to know how well the Chinese control the billionaires and what happened with Jack Ma was forced to give up all his holdings of Alibaba recently, and so from I think it's in that video too. They talk about Alipay, like Apple Pay. They have Alipay, and Alipay is way bigger than Alibaba, and basically the Chinese government confiscated it. I think it's also important to note that in the U.S., it's not only the super rich who control it, but it's also perhaps not even those that are Americans, but the super rich foreigners who control it, right? Those who own the central banks, I think are foreign interests. So the secret of money is Don Maloney. Is it Don Maloney? Mike Maloney. Excellent series. Excellent series. Um, just real quick while we're all together, there's one in particular. Maybe it's the first one. Um, Maybe it's the first one, and it talks about basically the bread and circus and how in Rome they basically used entertainment by giving people free bread and entertainment. They were able to control the masses, and how relevant that is today with TV and the media, the way that they control the perception of the people. Great stuff. There you go, Blair. Episode 3. Episode 3. And Leonard, you must have an amazing perspective that I know that I don't, and those have not lived in the East like that would have. That's an awesome asset. Our conversation has kind of drifted a little bit, and that's okay. That's because there's nothing happening. Uh, as far as nothing happening, I mean, what we're seeing so far happen in New York, you could see that this was pre-market. Then since the U.S. equities open, prices held this support, come back up, and it's now just consolidating a little bit. We're going to see what the next move is. Probably things will pick up about an hour from now. Yeah, speaking of an arrow, and I believe that President Trump has taken out I think a full minute ad in the Super Bowl coming up. You are dead on there. Yeah, Mexico's its own world of troubles as well, and has a lot to do. Listen, there is a lot of corruption that goes on in the world, and obviously, the U.S. on a world stage is involved in a lot of corruption. Uh, in Mexico, it's kind of more on a scale between like the government and its people, and it's horrendous, and they're their own worst enemy. They are situated to the United States, and having access to that economy is a huge plus for Mexico. If they would just get their ducks in a row and get organized, and work on a better education for their citizens and trying to build up their country and stop stealing from their country, they would be doing really, really, really well. And I think a lot of American businesses would feel a lot more comfortable doing business there, being that it's on the border. They're their own worst enemy. Yeah, well, we're all here to learn from each other, and appreciate that everyone has to offer. I've learned 20 years of trading. I've learned quite a thing or two that I'm able to definitely, you know, pass on, and happy to do so. Guys, all this is a big reason why I'm a big supporter of Bitcoin. So I believe Bitcoin is actually a voice and a vote for freedom. The thing about Bitcoin, I think, is that I think price is what attracts or people get interested in Bitcoin to begin with. Then they really learn about what money is and sound money. So they're gold people that are into gold have so much in common with people that are into cryptocurrency, or Bitcoin at least. And those two crowds should really work together. And you know, Bitcoin goes beyond there than money, and I think it is definitely, definitely, you know, uh, gets into freedom and freedoms. Hey, I appreciate that, and all of you. Yeah, I'm definitely going to do it. Wow, no, I agree with that 100%. There's, money doesn't buy happiness, which is absolutely true, but money does allow and afford the opportunity for choices and many more choices and therefore freedoms. Whereas the middle class and those in that are poor or living in poverty, they don't have any of those freedoms. I think you said episode 3. Well, this one looks interesting. The timeline shows the death of the U.S. dollar. Um, you know what? If you've not seen any of these, probably we'll go through and watch the first 4 at least. I don't know what episode. It's been a while since I've looked into it. I haven't seen them all, but there's some really interesting, good stuff, and it's presented really well the way that Mike presents stuff. I saw that Mike one time was speaking, and he was saying that basically I think he was out of work. His I think someone in the family passed away, or he needed to control the family's finances. This is when he started doing some research. And the part that's interesting though is that he really wanted to speak in front of a group of like 5,000 people, and he kind of just started mentally picturing himself doing that. Um, he was at a conference, he asked the question, he was invited up on stage and actually was able to do that. And from there on in, he has a gift of explaining things very easily and simply to people, and he presents things in a really nice way. If you're not familiar with that channel, go ahead and watch some of those videos. Some good stuff in there. Pound, Canadian dollar. I mean, personally speaking, for me here, we would need to get above this resistance level up here, all the way up here, and obviously test it successfully to hold the support for me to be looking to get interested in longs. I would be actually looking to first sell any opportunity as we get back towards the test of this resistance over here. We're in a pretty congested area right now with a lot of work to do just to get into that resistance, and then it's got to work its way above. You got to get really above here for sure in order to be bullish on the Canadian dollar versus the pound versus the Canadian dollar again, for me. It would be really I'm really interested to see going in to the London close where the DXY is trading at, where all our pairs are trading at. Euro looks the strongest in the session. Is that translating to anything against the Japanese yen? What do you got for us, Hanero? Again, just something else I really want to point out to everyone is, again, I was thinking about this yesterday. I noticed that a lot of traders in bull trends look to sell resistances, and in bearish trends, downtrends, look to buy supports. And I think that's flipped. It should be in uptrends, look to buy off supports, and in downtrends, look to sell off resistances. If the Fed goes negative, then forget about it. Gold and Bitcoin, I think, will be through the roof. So I hope you guys don't mind that little tangent that we all took into money in the financial system and politics. I really enjoy that type of stuff. I'm really passionate about it, and I'm really glad that we're all able to talk about it. I just want you all to know from my end, I definitely enjoy that and grateful for it. Awesome. Thank you. You got right. Yeah, it's rare to find an environment where people kind of all on the same page and not only interested but understand this stuff. And it's not really a thing you could usually talk about with friends and family. Of course I do, but little by little. Yeah, when I talk about like on the world stage, the U.S. being corrupt, exactly is the type of things with what happened in Libya, which is just, just terrible. Right, Blair? I feel the same way. So what's going on with the euro Australian dollar? The reason I ask is I noticed the euro is the strongest in this session. I think it's really about, look at this range we're in, and it's really about resistance and support down here and that range, which is a decent sized range. But right now you're dead center. Dead center. Nothing going on for me. No, what was his name? That was I forget his name. He was the one though that wound up suing Mark Zuckerberg. Martin, great to see you jumping in here. Listen, yeah, as far as getting an overview for the market, the first 40 minutes, first 20 minutes were on fire. Covered a lot of stuff in the first 40 minutes. I think why watching, as long as we're not past 3 hours, while watching the live stream, you could pull back the video and go ahead and watch that if you're interested in getting a look at the market, Martin. Otherwise, if there's anything else that you're looking at right now or interested in just taking a look at, we're here. Great conversation otherwise we've had over the past half hour. Some really interesting stuff. And again, it's one that you might want to catch up at least in the chat first and see what sections you want to get involved in and watch some good stuff. Zoran, you're looking at the pound closing some gaps. What was the specific pair that you took that trade on? I remember we looked at that yesterday or on a Monday. Was it the euro pound? Yeah, I thought it was the euro. I see the nice gap on the euro pound. And to close that gap, we'll come back into that support. Let me just pull it up like this. This is the gap over here. So on a gap play too, just this is something that you're focused in on and something that attracts you. I think generally speaking, I think it's important to be able to trade something that fits your lifestyle, meaning you can't day trade the 15 or 30 minute chart unless you have like that amount of time to be in front of the screen, completely focused and uninterrupted, right? Same thing too, like the markets are really, really tough until you kind of like figure it out. And I think you should go with what works. And if someone's letting you know something that works, I think that's where you should focus. But if you are trading gaps, I think a helpful hint that I can give you, and let's say you're doing it on the 4-hour time frame and you want to fade the gap, do not fade the gap until price makes a lower low, which would have been all the way up here. All right. There's no reason until again, I always talk about, no matter what time frame you're trading, let price confirm you and take you into that trade as the first little edge you can give yourself. And if you're playing the gaps, whatever time frame you're doing it on, you wait for that price to make that lower low, and then look at that better entry that would give you. All right. So I hope that's useful. I think that could help actually just get you into the position, whatever positions you're looking to get into, with a little bit better of an edge. Pound's coming off. What's going on, Chris? Looking good. I mean, definitely we've noticed, looking at all the pound pairs today, that the pound was in a place where it was looking good. It doesn't mean that's going to happen, but it's been a long time since we've mentioned that. It's been a long time. It's been almost 1 month since we've said the pound looks good. Today was the first day that we said the pound looks good. Euro during this session also. This is a little line I think is very helpful. This is the one that actually it was Hanero that had us include. Good look, because you get below this line down here, and then it's like, then you could breathe as far as the resistance held if you're looking to take trades, as I am, off of the resistance and the supports that afforded on other pairs. What is oil doing today? Sorry, Martin, I didn't see that. Let's look at the Euro Japanese yen, and then we'll look at the Canadian dollar Japanese yen. And so just real quick, you came into this resistance. I know there were some traders fading this resistance. And so again, good that you're trading off of resistance. The one thing that I would like to add, I noticed that a lot of traders are selling resistances in uptrends and buying supports in downtrends. I highly recommend switching that mindset to buying off support in uptrends and selling off of resistance in downtrends. Not to say that you never want to do that, but it's a counter trend trade, right? And so looking at this right now, I mean, what do you guys see? I wouldn't want to be long here or taking a long, right? We're too close to the resistance, and I like leaning off of supports in an uptrend, but I don't want to be selling here also. As far as the Canadian dollar, Japanese yen, same thing. the place to buy was on this breakout, and then the successful test of the breakout. And over here, I want to just jump back and get a bigger view. Yeah, I could kind of see some resistance right around here right now. Let me draw that in. Oh, that's actually support then down there. That's off of these touches over here. But I think where my mouse is a better better look. Price is kind of trading actually just at it. It could go either way. So I think if you get above here and then test it, you could think about taking longs, but I would wait for I wouldn't be taking a trade here. It's just not clear for me. It's pretty bullish and it looks pretty good, but I would not be fading it. I'm curious tomorrow if the signing of the trade deal triggers yen strength or not. But that I'm aware that that could possibly happen, and if that does happen, the yen has been on a tear ever since it was clear that the Iran USA fiasco was not going to escalate, and we could see a sell-off there. So I'm looking for it. I'll be watching for it tomorrow. We'll be talking about that tomorrow during our sessions. But this is pretty bullish right now. I think that momentum continues up until tomorrow's session, but I wouldn't touch it. If Onda was one of the first brokers I used in when I first made the jump into Forex from futures in 2003, and I used them for a long time. And Onda is a phenomenal broker, really good broker. I don't trade with them right now, but they're a great broker, a good broker. Good question. Let's look at the US dollar, Canadian dollar then. And so what you're pointing out is, over the last few days, price is in an uptrend. But okay, so no, I'm looking at this and saying we're in a downtrend. So I'm selling resistances. You are correct in saying that over the past 3 days, price is moving up. But for me, that's a retraced into the first resistance is right here. And we're trading below the first resistance. So for me, that's sell the resistance. Again, in order for me to consider this an uptrend, we would have to get at least above this resistance line here, this trend line, and this strong resistance. If Blair, we clear this resistance to the upside, and then there's still more work to do, but that's the first opportunity that I would say that I'm now looking to buy. Above this trend line and above this resistance. Above there, I would be looking, and you could say, well, look at all that. That's an uptrend. Yes, that's an uptrend, but I am and do look at this for the trend. And this is just a pullback in the trend. If it breaks that strong resistance, then I'll be looking for the uptrend. And yes, the longest point is the market turn. If you're taking the trend, the turn in trend, Paul Tudor Jones says that's where the most and greatest profit potential is, and that's true. There's much more potential here to here than there is from here to here, but from here to here is a higher percentage trade and easier. Because also Paul Tudor Jones also says if you're taking the turn in the trend, you have to be very able and ready to take lots of small losses, because he's able to take that as a loss. 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 And until he catches that, right? That's difficult to do. It's psychologically, for traders, that's difficult to do. It's not easy to do if you're going to be taking looking for the turn in the trend. Then you have to be able and ready to take lots of small losses in order to catch the big one. The most money can be made here. It's also the hardest money to make. Blair, we'll do that 1 second. The same exact thing we just did. We'll do it on the euro, US dollar. So real quick, at the New Zealand dollar, Japanese yen, I mean, we're in a strong uptrend, but this trend line has been violated over here. And once that was violated, that was the first sign that this strong move is weakening. Once that happened, we came back and we held this support over here. Yeah, we penetrated it here. This was during, again, the Iran fiasco. But price wicked here. It held above here on the daily, and the support here held. And since price has come up. So what do you do now? Nothing. You know, I'd be on the sidelines. I have the next resistance is up here. It's this trend line extended up, and this top over here, and the supports down here. You're kind of dead in the center. I don't see an edge one way or another. The yen has been very weak ever since this resolution. Could it keep going? Maybe, you know, but I wouldn't be looking to fade it, and I wouldn't be looking to take a long on it. I just go where there's more clarity and more opportunity, and I don't see it there personally. So where is which direction is the euro US dollar trading in? And I mean, it was a lot more clear on the US dollar, Canadian dollar. I'm glad you brought up this. For me, this is almost sideways, right? This is sideways price action. It's not in an uptrend and it's not in a downtrend. And so to be honest, I didn't really think about that consciously, because I sold this resistance. And I tell you, it's easier to be looking in an uptrend to buy off support, and in a downtrend to sell off of resistance. But so a couple of things, because you guys know that once we broke out over here, right, that's when I started getting a little bit of long biased. It was the break of this trend line that caused me to start becoming a little long biased on the euro US dollar. But I did sell this up here. And again, going back to I'll come back to this, going back to the euro Japanese yen, when I said, hey, listen, you know, get in the habit of buying up supports and uptrends. I was also clear to say that's not always, not that you can't do that. You can't sell the resistance here, but you know, I don't know. It's got to be like something 80% 20, right? And it's the other way around. I feel like a lot of traders are doing the opposite. And in order to get yourself making money, I don't think you should be looking to take things like here, like I did. But don't forget, I also did that with you guys because the dollar index was down here, right? So I hope that all makes sense, because it's not black and white. There are a lot of nuances to it, to trading, right? Yeah, the New Zealand dollar, we could take another look again for sure. Is it retest resistance and bounce? So I see over here where my mouse is horizontally, I see some resistance. Does it look like that it came into that resistance and then has so far retraced off it? Yeah, back into what looks like support down here as well. And it looks to be like it's going to hold this support now. Again, until the support doesn't hold, I assume it's going to. Let me draw this in for you. In hindsight, you could see that price came into that resistance from over here, right? And then not only after it's done that, what it's done is it's coming in now to the support over here. All right, so first of all, right now you're just stuck between this resistance and support. All right, below the support, you got some room to the downside over here, right? Maybe that triggers tomorrow. Do we get another test of this resistance up here? Quite possibly, but there's no edge for me. I don't see it. I don't see a trade here. You know, I definitely have to say right now, you have a bullish bias to it. You've come up pretty hard and fast, you know, in the past few days, in the past 3 days, 4 days, and you naturally so finally just took a little bit of a breather. But you could see that all it did was cause the entry CCI to be pulled back in this uptrend. And to me, above this support line, I have a bullish bias, but you know, price has to make higher highs and get above this resistance here. You get above this resistance, and I think then you come back up and you test at least the high over here. But it's pretty murky. No clear signal. Steven, we have DJ has faded oil. I don't know if it was on the break of this trend line or he even got in. I mean, this was when Iran was attacking the US military bases. If you pull back here, you could see. Let me give you a higher time frame real quick. You could see that was at some pretty nice resistance in this area from here to here. And once it was clear that basically what they were doing was just to save face, that they were not any casualties purposefully, and that they were de-escalating the situation, since then oil has dropped and dropped hard, and it looks like this support down here could be holding. Is it a play? Should you be taking a long down here? Maybe and possibly, right? And you know, your risk is defined. If you're wrong, you get out of the trade. There is a lot of upside potential here. I think that it's quite possible that in the weeks ahead, it's possible we get another look at this trend line and it should act as resistance. Well, I shouldn't say it's possible. If that does happen, I'm going to be looking to sell that. But outside of that, I'm not getting involved at all. $64.21. I mean, could have been it could be the trade of the year, especially if we go into the global slow. I mean, it's an election year. You know, probably the status quo holds. But if the market starts looking ahead to a global slowdown, DJ, I mean, man, if I got in that trade that you're in, that's amazing. I think I know you're looking down here around 56.40 for a take profit. This is a home run if you hit it. And you know, do I think let's put this. Do I think that it's possible within 2 years we see oil trading down around $35. I do think that. Could oil trade at $100? Yep. US, Israel, Iran go to war for sure. Oil will be trading at $100. No. That was the trade of the year so far. And you nailed it. So next half hour, what's the dollar going to do? I mean, so Heath, that's, good place to be longing the pound US dollar. First of all, pound has come off. We like the pound now, right? Pound has come off and the dollar index is trading at this resistance. Your risk is really in place. You know where you're wrong and you can get out of the trade, right? That's how you do it, because you don't have to be right all the time here, right? You just have a good risk to reward. You take good setups. Good setups mean off of strong support and resistance, and that's the key to trading. It's the key to trading right there, and it's that simple. I don't think that's small, 1%. I think it's the max you should be using. Again, 0.5% might be better for a lot of you. And don't think you can't make a lot of money. Don't think you can't make 30% a year risking 0.5% on trade. You absolutely can. How much do we like the pound US dollar? I have not been up to date at all with what's developing over between this UK and EU saga. I'm not really sure what the fundamentals are as far as the politics are concerned. And I wish I were a little more up to date. Crazy up or down? This is the bad side of cryptocurrency. This is a scam. It's not really traded on too many exchanges because it is a scam. So it's a little tough to be for people to take advantage and trade it. So what is that? That's like a 25% decline, but this is like a, oh my goodness, 350% increase. This is just pure manipulation. Ugh. This was the smart money. This was the smart money up here. Shorten this thing. Oh my goodness. Steve, are you up to date what's going on with the politics between the EU and the pound? I know that what triggered the sell-off recently in the pound was and again, I'm not up to date, was something with Croatia throwing up some obstacles. I will only talk about things that I know. Otherwise, I believe that I know. Otherwise, I will not share my opinion. But I believe this looks pretty good, pound Japanese yen. But are we seeing the end of this yen move? Just a heads up, I do think that this afternoon there's going to be quite a few updates that I will post through the Telegram. The description, in the description of this video, you could find the link to that Telegram group. You know, yesterday there was only an update included on the pound Australian dollar, but I see a lot of purple here. So there's the possibility of quite a few updates. I also think tomorrow's session is going to be a big one, a good one. I don't have an idea yet of what time the expected signing of the trade deal is, but as soon as we find out, we'll find out tomorrow, and we'll be aware of that. That's going to be the main focus tomorrow. I had placed a few orders on the Australian dollar, US dollar earlier in New York. I canceled those orders. We're getting close now to the end of the session. Price never triggered. Yeah. And, I have no idea. Let's maybe even look at a monthly chart first. If you could guess where the pound is trading 3 years from now, 5 years from now, obviously none of us are really, in Bitcoin, I'm thinking 10 years out. Gold, you could think 5 years out. 10 years from now, Bitcoin will have I believe have a bigger market cap than gold. But as far as the pound, I don't know. Are we going to be trading up at these levels? Is 1.58 possible? I don't know. Is the play after the exit, just in case it's a hard exit? Maybe. There are times specifically during just an example would be when the US was lowering rates, 2001, 2002, when the currency keeps on rising. So there are cases, there are times oversold could remain oversold, overbought could remain overbought, and when it does for an extended period of time, there are times when central banks are lowering rates and the currency keeps rising. It's not just England that needs to lower rates. It's everywhere else also, right? What's the U.S. going to do next? Raise rates or lower rates? Lower rates. There it is, and that's the focus for all of us. We want to kind of like paint the picture, and we want to have our ideas of what we expect is going to happen, but ultimately all of us need to always trade what's right in front of us and what is happening. And by paint the story, I expect this resistance going to hold. If it doesn't hold, I think price comes into here first, is rejected, come back down, test. If it holds the test, I'm long dollar. Right? If it breaks over here up, I expect it comes back down, test that, holds, I get long dollar. Right now, I'm positioning short the dollar. New Zealand dollar, Swiss franc is trading down into the support over here. down pretty hard on the day, 0.5%. Again, just looking back at this, I, I don't think the 8 hours is a good time frame to look at here for you to see it. I could see it well though. I think let me point that out to you. So we have the trend line. Here was the break of the trend line where we came down into the support and then tested that resistance. And you could see the support, once it was broken, it held as a resistance, right? There's the entry. This is safe, a safe trade. We are very close right here to my long signal, right? Now, obviously, on the last update of TradingView, I talked about Bitcoin on a short time preference, a swing trade time preference, and I have, the reverse head and shoulders here. When we broke through, came back down and tested. This was the long over here, down at 78.60, call it. 910 is the take profit on that, up around that area. But on a long-term perspective, we're coming close here to a buy on Bitcoin. Heath, that's a nice trade. In Bitcoin, I'm thinking 10-year time horizon. As long as these 4-year cycles continue, this is every 4 years. You have the bull, the bust. I'm not saying only hold Bitcoin through the next 10 years. I think you should use this 12-hour time frame, true trend BTC indicator. This will keep you in Bitcoin during all the boom moves. It'll keep you on the sidelines during all the bear moves. This is the way to do it. But thinking over the next 10 years, the appreciation of Bitcoin, so long as these structures continue to hold these 4-year cycles. You have 3 more of these halving events that will occur in the next 10 years. You have one coming up in 5 months and then 2 more. I can't imagine what the price of Bitcoin will be. It can be figured out. I'll show you right now. I think very few people understand the stock to flow model. Definitely a good read, and I think that will help explain to you why I have such a long time horizon on Bitcoin. All right, so good New York session in the fact that the resistance is holding so far. This was about a half hour. Price is trading up here about a half hour before the U.S. market opening. This is when a lot of traders get caught off chasing momentum on the wrong side of the market, right? If you have a problem chasing momentum, pull up the entry CCI of the true trend and don't ever be buying when that's in the direction of the trend. It'll stop you from chasing momentum right away. But why we're expecting a break could have happened and could still happen. I think by having the awareness we have of what's going on around us, You really helped us have cool heads, and things have since peeled off. We're still above this level over here, which Hernero pointed out, and that's kind of the confirmation level. You need to get below there for you can almost breathe that your trades are then uh, falling into profit. Right now, we're in the stage of we got a lot of work to do. Nothing's clear, and I think it's a good place to end the session for today. Again, I think there's going to be a lot of updates this afternoon. Take a look out for them, and also tomorrow's session. I don't know what it's going to be like in the morning. Maybe things are going to stall out, but we're going to be able to kind of assess the situation and make sure that we're managing positions accordingly and positioned accordingly for what happens uh, during the signing and after the signing of the trade bill. If anyone finds out a time of that, you know, I'm interested to know. Please let us know. Absolutely, this is the time not to take any trades. There's also lunchtime in New York at the same time, and low volume time in the market. Bad time for signals. There are many false signals. Do not chase anything right here, right now. Great input, Hanero. Yeah, man. Have a great day, everyone, and hope to see you tomorrow.